All right, let's dive into one of the oldest, most vivid, and frankly, most brutal poems you'll find in the Hebrew Bible, the Song of Deborah. And I want you to forget everything you think you know about ancient poetry, because this is something else. This is a raw, first-hand story of rebellion, of divine warfare, and savage victory, all celebrating two incredible women who pulled their people back from the very brink of collapse.
The song doesn't ease you in at all. It just starts with this urgent, almost violent command. It's like it's shaking you awake, telling you to remember, to sing the story that's about to unfold with incredible force. Boom, we're dropped right into the middle of an ancient war.
So, to really get this epic, we're going to follow the story just as it's told. We'll start in a land just gripped by fear. Then we'll see the call to arms and how the nation was divided on whether to answer. Then the battle gets kind of cosmic, which leads to a really vicious personal victory. And we'll end with the song's final haunting echo.
First things first, the song sets a really bleak stage. Before Deborah, before the uprising, the people of Israel were basically living in a state of paralysis, under the constant threat of Canaanite oppression.
I mean, just imagine a society where the main roads are empty. That's the picture the song paints. It means commerce, travel, any kind of normal life, it's all ground to a halt. People were so terrified of their oppressors that they were forced to sneak around on winding back roads, just trying to survive.
So the song mentions 40,000 men in Israel. And you'd think, okay, that's a pretty big number, right? They should be able to put up a fight. But here's the kicker. The poem tells us that among all those thousands of men, not a single shield or spear could be found. They weren't just oppressed, they were completely disarmed and demoralized, especially against the might of the Canaanites and their high-tech iron chariots.
So how does all this change? Well, out of this total despair, a leader finally emerges, a prophetess, and her name is Deborah. And I love how she puts it. She doesn't say she was chosen or appointed. She says, I arose. In a world dominated by men, that is a radically powerful statement. She's taking personal responsibility, and she frames her leadership not as a queen or a general, but as a mother in Israel, a protector, ready to go to war for her family.
But here's the thing. When this mother calls her children to war, not everyone answers. And this is where the song gets really interesting, almost political. It becomes this meticulous record of who showed up to fight and who decided to stay home.
What we have here is basically an ancient roll call. And you have to think of it as political propaganda, meant to be sung and remembered for generations. It names names, it celebrates the tribes that risked it all, while very pointedly calling out those who found excuses to stay away from the fight, essentially shaming them in the national memory forever. And the song doesn't just name the tribes who stayed behind, it openly mocks them. This question, aimed at the tribe of Reuben, is just dripping with sarcasm. While everyone else was marching to battle, Reuben was busy with much searching of heart and listening to the whistling for their flocks. It's a complete poetic takedown of their cowardice.
All right, so with the loyal tribes gathered, the battle begins. But the poem makes it incredibly clear. This was not just some army of farmers going up against a powerful king. No, this was a cosmic event.
And that's not just a fancy metaphor. The song is claiming the universe itself picked a side. The stars, the very fabric of creation, literally went to war against Israel's enemy, the Canaanite general Sisera.
And here's how that cosmic intervention actually played out on the ground. The Canaanites' greatest advantage, their biggest weapon, was their iron chariots, the ancient world's version of tanks. But a divinely timed flash flood, a storm, turns the entire battlefield into a muddy swamp. And suddenly, those chariots are useless. They're stuck. The river just sweeps the enemy away.
So the battle is won, but the enemy general Sisera, he escapes on foot. And this is where the song's focus does this dramatic shift, zooming in from the epic scale of the cosmos to a single tent and a brutal, incredibly intimate act of violence. And now we meet the second woman of the story, Jael. Now she isn't even an Israelite, she's a Canaanite, which makes her an outsider. And yet, she is celebrated as the ultimate hero. The poem lifts her up above all other women for what she's about to do.
The way this plays out is just chilling. Sisera, completely exhausted, stumbles into her tent looking for a safe place to hide. He asks her for water. She gives him milk, a heavier drink, something to make him drowsy. In doing this, she's violating every sacred code of hospitality.
And then, with a workman's hammer and a simple tent peg, she kills him while he sleeps.
The poem repeats the action. At her feet he sank, he fell. It's like it's replaying the moment for us in slow motion, driving home the brutal finality of it. The great general defeated not by an army, but by one woman in a tent.
And then, in a move of pure literary genius, the moment Sisera is dead, the song just cuts away. We are yanked from that scene of carnage and transported miles away, to the enemy's palace.
And here we meet another mother. Not Deborah, the mother of Israel, but the mother of the man who is just killed. We, the audience, know he's dead, but she's just waiting by the window, filled with anxiety, wondering where her son is. The dramatic irony is just absolutely crushing.
To calm herself down, she and her ladies start imagining the victory celebration. They picture the plunder he must be dividing up, which, by the way, includes captive women, and that's why he's delayed. It's a really stark glimpse into the brutal reality of ancient war, and it's just this deeply tragic moment of completely misplaced hope.
The song then snaps back from that personal tragedy to its final, fierce declaration. It's both a curse and a blessing. It solidifies the whole point of the song. It's a celebration of victory, a warning to any other enemies, and a promise of glory for the faithful.
So after all that, what was the result? What was the payoff for all the bloodshed in this triumphant, brutal song? Well, the text gives us a simple, powerful answer. For 40 years, the land had peace.
You know, the Song of Deborah is just an amazing testament to the power of narrative. It's violent, it's partisan, it's triumphant. It celebrates a battlefield turned to mud by the stars and a general killed by a woman with a tent peg. And it really leaves us with a question to chew on. What does it take for us to turn brutal violence into a glorious song?